Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Saturday Squash from the team here at the Golden Shovel Wrestling Podcast. This is our weekly Saturday morning drop where we do some fantasy booking and some nostalgia look backs. This week, we are already looking at WrestleMania 42 and we are doing a little bit of booking ahead. Let's get in here. Right, so we are here, we've got the three of us, really simple concept. Daz is the Smackdown guy who's going to book 4 Smackdown title matches. Me, as the guy in charge of Raw, is going to book 4 Raw matches. Ross's job is to book the extra matches.
Book the chaos.
But think Roman versus Seth versus Punk as your night one main event. Not necessarily in one brand, not a title match.
With a mix of Joe Hendry.
With a mix of probably throwing Joe Hendry in there.
I believe.
Dead simple concept. We're each going to get 60 seconds to pitch the match. We'll have a quick chat about them. We'll move on to the next one. There is no winner this week. It's just about us having something to look back on as we move towards the WrestleMania card. The most important thing is, as part of your pitch, you have to say where and why it comes from. You can move people between brands. If you wish, you can decide that actually I want Seth Rollins on SmackDown, therefore Seth Rollins will be on SmackDown. You can also turn around and say, I'm booking within the realms of reality, or I am going complete fantasy booking. Daz, SmackDown, match 1. Let's go.
Okay, I'm going to kick us off with the title that deserves more love on Friday Night SmackDown. I'm going to start us off with the Women's US title. Now, we spoke about it on the main pod, so go and listen to it. We dropped it on Wednesday. But there has not been a credible challenge for Julia, so I have booked a star-studded Fatal 4-Way Women's US title match, and unfortunately for Julia, she's not part of it. I think we're going to get Flair versus Bliss versus Cargill versus Belair for the Women's US title. You're probably now wondering how I booked in the Women's World title picture. We will get to that. But yeah, Flair and Bliss are inevitably going to break up and feud. Cargill and Belair's feud is not finished. Let's work all these angles together, bring the mid-card title into the forefront and put it on an established name. So I don't think Cargill will win, but it could be a good passing of the torch, if you like, to Jade Cargill.
10 seconds left, sitting it
there. Viva Alexa Bliss.
That is an interesting concept and match, and I like it. I think it is important because I think at some point they're going to have to make that women's US title feel important because it just has not. I think it's dead simple. I'll do my own thing, and with that being said, I'm also going to start with the women's mid-card on Raw and the women's IC title. We've just spent an hour mostly talking about it, but I think this is where the feud culminates. I am going Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee, women's IC title. I think we'll see the WrestlePalooza match. I think we'll see them not together on the card in Australia. I'm going to just fantasy outside the realms of reality, but you never know. Team Becky versus Team AJ, women's War Games, potentially. And then I think at that point, it's not a stretch to get to WrestleMania for the actual big match. So I know we're stretching that feud a little bit, but I think as we've discussed, they'll have to work in Bayley and Lyra and other feuds. And I don't think Becky versus AJ needs to be on the card every month at the PLE. I think it's a good feud to stretch out. And I think that's what will help the on-screen split of the story with Seth and Becky.
I like that. I think that just it makes sort of perfect sense, doesn't it? It's a kind of that's fantasy booking with a little bit of actual kayfabe thinking. So
it could come earlier.
The only thing we've got to do is now we've got to navigate the next 7 months without it becoming stale. So they will meet at points throughout. The Royal Rumble is probably the perfect time to reignite it. And the Rumble together, one eliminates the other, blah, 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 you know the patter.
Aye.
I don't hate it. I think it's good.
The match is there, and it will be an elite level match. It is whether it can stretch to Mania, but I think they two should that match. The end of the feud should be Mania. That's what we'll say. Could happen before then. I will just say that I do have Becky as the champion going into that match still.
Nice.
That might be.
I didn't specify. I probably should have specified Bianca Belair as the champion going into that match.
I like that. So I'm going to keep us on Raw for the next match, and I'm going to start my timer now. So this is where I've booked 2 matches for 1 slot, and I'll mention the other match later on at the end when we get to it. I'm going to bring back what was almost a staple of WrestleMania for a period of time. There, I'm bringing back a 6-man ladder match for the Men's Intercontinental Championship. I'm having champion Finn Balor versus AJ Styles versus Penta versus Sheamus versus Logan Paul versus Trick Williams. And that's about as much as I have to say. I think that they're going to. There's a lot of people to cram onto the card. I think there's spots there. I think there's legitimate challengers. You've got people like Penta potentially going for his first title in the E. You've got an extended AJ Styles in his last swan song trying to get another championship for the goals. You've got Finn Balor having come off that feud with Dom Mysterio clearly, and you've got Sheamus going for the Grand Slam. Trick Williams being showcased. That's why I've picked that.
I think that would be utter chaos. I would love that.
I could not argue with that. I think it would be incredible to watch.
You nearly lost him once you said Sheamus, because I think he thought you were then going to hit it with a Rusev or something like that. And
I really had the fear that Rusev was going to follow.
Rusev is not on my card.
That's good.
I like that.
That is back to yourself for Smackdown match 2. 60 seconds starts now.
Yes. So, wait, which match will I run for you next? Okay, let's go with the men's mid-card title. Since I'll just follow up your IC title. I also have a multi-man match booked, and I have US champion Montez Ford defending his title in a fatal 4-way against Aleister Black, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. I think it's people who have been biding their time to get their spotlight. I think these 4, it's got the perfect mix of wrestling and spots. I think it would be a brilliant match to showcase the likes of Carmelo Hayes. Montez Ford going in as a heel champion, I think would be excellent, and the perfect way for Melo to win some senior silverware on SmackDown.
We did kind of speak about it, didn't we? About a heel turn for him. And
I'm so glad. I love that match, and the reason I love that match is because in one of my early drafts of my 6-man ladder match, I drafted Melo to Raw to put him in that match to have him on the card with the same opportunity in mind. It's the same as just chaos in the mid card, which we seem to love.
It's how you elevate mid cards.
Because we all
big
know,
events
we all
get
know that
lost in all the
Sammy's not holding this, and that may be a spoiler towards my main event, but we know Sammy's allegedly not going to be holding this US title forever. So, yeah, I'm intrigued.
Roscoe, time for you to pitch in with the non-branded, non-title
chaos,
big chaos match, and I'll put the clock on, but I'm very aware that we'll probably have a good discussion about the other matches. So 60 seconds starts now.
Yeah, so this one I'm going to go for one that I think is a little bit too soon. However, at the time of recording, I have just seen an NXT tweet about the NXT episode that has since aired that might be the start of moving towards this. So I think it would be really, really good if at some point both Sol Ruka and Zarya make their elevation up from NXT. So I've kind of grounded this one a little bit reality, and I wouldn't mind if you popped on them 2 on a Mania card one night. Like, this doesn't need to be for a title. That tag team is going to get split up at some point. Both are excellent. Presentation's excellent. They could go solo. They always put on good matches, so you're guaranteed to get some intrigue. And the reason why I think there's a slightly higher chance of it now than when I wrote this down a couple of hours ago is that on NXT this past week, they've actually been part of a triple threat elimination tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Championships with Fatal Influence and The Culling. So why not have something spawn off from there and then get some chaos at the Mania card? Why not?
Don't hate it. I mean, it's one of the matches that they'll need to do a lot of work in the build-up to get these 2 established on the main roster. That's Royal Rumble's always a possibility for that, but I don't hate it. That is also one of the matches that should potentially main event the NXT show prior.
It
If they do a
very
Saturday
much could.
afternoon, but it would depend if they go for the split and move them up, or whether they bring up as potential tag. But I
Possibly.
think they need to split them at some point, don't they? Because they're
As
both,
in, like, they win that match, win the tag titles, move up, hold the
get
tag titles for a
established,
month.
have
Acrimonious
the
Then
split.
break up. Yeah.
Nonsense.
Don't hate it. Okay. Because I think when we get towards the main event picture here, we're going to have more talking, so I'm going to do my 60 seconds. And then we'll go to Daz. And this was the hardest match for me because of the night, because I originally had this as a singles match, then I had a triple threat, and then I've got it as a fatal four-way. I originally was going for Women's World Champion Asuka defending against Io Sky, because again, I feel as though that is a high-level feud that should end at a big show. I think main is the show for that. I then remembered that there's other people available, and I've actually also remembered the fact that the women have delivered in triple threats all year. And I then brought Bianca Belair in, coming back from injury, into that picture. I know you've mentioned on the SmackDown card, there seems to be a bit of a debate where she's actually going to be when she comes back. But I did finally decide to also add Stephanie Vicaire and make it a fatal four-way, because I do feel that she needs that reset, give her time. I'm not sure who wins the Rumble, because I'm basically relying on you having a one-on-one match with the Rumble winner, and I'm saying that the Rumble winner's come for SmackDown, so I've ignored that here a little bit, which is fine. But I do think that Asuka versus Io will be there, and I do have Asuka picking up the title sometime between now and January to take it through to Mania.
I don't hate it. I really don't.
It's hard to argue.
There's too many names. This is the joy of fantasy booking. It's just putting all your favourite people together and making a wrestling match.
Which is what you need for these big showpiece events, right? That is the point of WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, the women's card's a lot harder to book on Raw than it is in SmackDown, because there's so many big names. Now, you've omitted a huge name from that, which we'll come to when I talk about my SmackDown match, because they're also not on my SmackDown match.
60 seconds, go.
So I'm going to book you my WWE Women's Championship match, and it's going to be WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton versus Royal Rumble winner Chelsea Green. Chelsea's finally getting her push. She's finally getting the world title push. And the reason Rhea Ripley's not mentioned is because I am booking this based off the current SmackDown roster. I'm booking within the realms of what I have to deal with right now. Chelsea has put in so much time, so much effort. She's been a joke for so long. She's finally had some serious booking. She's had a mid-card title run that she was good, our opponents were not. And I feel like we're in the process of starting that rebrand for Chelsea Green. Bring up Ethan Page, make her a serious contender, let her win the Rumble, book her in with Tiffy, and just watch the woman do it on the biggest stage of them all.
In this scenario, is Tiffy holding the title all the way through to Mania, or do you have a little bit of hot potato before then?
No.
That's a hell of a run, isn't it, for Tiff, man?
I just don't think... we spoke about it repeatedly. There is no challenger on SmackDown, and I'm booking that on the basis that they don't move a Rhea Ripley or something like that too, because that's obviously subject to change. But
I've went on record in the last main pod that we just recorded as saying that I think Rhea to SmackDown makes too much sense. I think it gives Tiffany a credible challenger. It gives her somebody to drop the title to, and it moves Rhea away from the people that she could be accused of burying should she win the title. I've also put a lot of pressure on Ross by saying that there is things like Rhea versus Liv. If that happened, doesn't need a title. If it happened again, doesn't need a title. Rhea versus Io, potentially. I know I've got Io Sky elsewhere in the card, but she's got enough big feuds that she doesn't need a title in that, which is going to bring us nicely back to Ross, your second match from the non-title, non-brand specific. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is match 2 of 3 that I have for you this evening. This one, I am not sure how they would pull this off. Maybe we have a situation where the superstar debuts and you think they're going to come after someone at WrestlePalooza, but they actually go after someone else. And I think that Obafemi needs to come out of NXT. The guy's a unit. He's far too strong. But when he moves up, he needs someone who can physically carry him. So picture the scene. We have our moment at WrestlePalooza. between John Cena and Brock Lesnar. And whatever the conclusion of the match happens, Obafemi's music hits. You think he's going to go for Cena because Cena's going to put him over, but then he actually goes for Brock. Book that at WrestleMania because that's just two big meaty men slapping meat. And we'll all love that. We all love to watch that in a wrestling ring. You can see the big spots. How you keep it going, I don't know. But just make it happen.
I'm so here for it, Ross, that you're anti-Brock Lesnar, but you are booking that man against Obafemi. I'm all in.
If he has to be involved, at least make it worth my while. And I think that's the best way to do it.
It's a huge call-up for Obafemi to go straight in to Brock Lesnar. I'm not saying he couldn't do it, because the guy is fucking jacked. He's huge, and he would be credible. I didn't think that's where you were headed. I thought you were going to book him against Braun Breaker or something like that, the way you were talking. But I mean, if they want to book Obafemi and Brock Lesnar together, and I don't know which variation of Street Fight we have left. But
I love the fact that you've got the backstory set up. I think it's a hell of a stretch, though, isn't it, to keep that going for.
The three matches that I've gone for are increasing in nonsense. Match number 3, again, just a singles match. You will not like it.
Again, Ross, all you need is Obafemi to eliminate Lesnar for the Rumble.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? It's not outside the realms of possibility.
And Brock Lesnar has shown he will do that for the right person if it makes sense in storyline. I'm worried because I needed you to book 2 matches for me, and you've got one left and you haven't booked any of them yet. And I've left 4 people off my card.
Make him go again. Well. Make him go again.
Oh, no, it's the matches that we're going to discuss at the end, almost certainly. So, Daz, you and I are both now ready for the world title picture. Would you like to go first or second for your world championship main event?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
60 seconds, and you go.
I have our WWE title match. I have QB1. I have, begrudgingly, Sami Zayn. I have Homer, Drew McIntyre. And I have OTC1, Roman Reigns, in a fatal 4-way. Now, I think Sami Zayn will win the Royal Rumble, just the way things are going. I don't want it. I don't like it. So if this is not the case, then I'm happy with it. I think that Cody and Reigns is too big a match. Reigns is too big to not have him in a main event. But I also feel like Drew is overdue a proper main event run. And Sami is obviously getting that push. So I'm going to have champion Cody Rhodes come in to defend his title in a fatal 4-way. And I think the big swerve is that Drew McIntyre walks out as champion.
I mean, I think we're all going to love that on this pod, aren't we? We're all going to love that.
Two questions, no challenge on it. And again, in this scenario, is Cody holding from now through to Mania? I guess the answer is yes, because we do kind of expect that. And then how are you managing the pivot from a Sami Zayn Rumble win to a fatal 4-way?
I think that the pivot's tricky, right? Because
I've also got a fatal 4-way.
the pivot is tricky, right? But I think it's a lot easier when you've got 2 other guys who are the gold standard in the business, in Reigns and McIntyre, and they make their case. Sami is a fighter. Sami will wrestle, and he will put his one-on-one match on the line in the build-up to WrestleMania. So I think it will become fatal 4-way, but I also think it's the perfect way to unbegrudgingly protect Sami Zayn from not winning the world title, is by not having him involved in the fall that wins Drew McIntyre title. I think Drew will pin Cody.
I have booked my Mania main event here. I've started my clock based on a Smackdown Rumble winner, because I went a fatal 4-way, and we do think it's going to be Sami at the moment. It might change, but Sami seems to be a good safe bet. So I have gone, and I've got the 4th member of this is person 1/person 2. So I've gone for CM Punk going in as champion, defending against Gunther, LA Knight, and I've got Cody Rhodes / Brock Lesnar, and I'm going to just make it Cody Rhodes. I do think we're going to get a Cody Rhodes title change before then. I think he'll get a move to Raw and a bit of a shuffle. I more than hope this is the one that's out with the realms of possibility. And the reason I went this way is I don't think it'll be CM Punk versus Gunther straight up. We've had that good match. We've done that. And I don't think Gunther's going to lose twice in a row at Mania in a singles match. And I honestly was struggling to see who else had put in the multi-man match. I think LA Knight gets a bit of fan engagement and gets a bit of that. Will he want to win his first title at Mania? Is it an LJ Uso story? And at that point I thought, I'll throw Cody in. So I fatal four-way, Punk and his champion defending against Gunther, LA Knight and Cody. Because I think we're eventually going to get Cody versus Punk as a Mania main event. I think that's just too early. I think this sows the seeds of that in future. It's the real reason that I want them both in the match.
I don't hate it.
I hate it. I do. I don't like it.
I have a follow-up question. I presumably know the answer to this question.
Aye.
Where is your current World Heavyweight Champion in this picture?
Ross, 60 seconds, go.
So presumably you want Seth Rollins involved in some form of chaos.
Ross, you do your match and then I'll come back to that because I think I need you to book me 2 matches because not only is my current world champion...
their whole stable is not booked on your card.
And neither is the current world champion. So
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Aye. Ross, you're muted, mate.
Yes, you are on mute. You are just talking.
I did not press that button, but
and you're back. Right, go for it.
You are getting none of those on my third and final match here. I have gone on. I went on record and said that I do not believe for 1 second that John Cena is not going to be on next year's WrestleMania card.
You're getting muted.
No, hang fire. I think I might know who he's going to book him against.
You know exactly who I'm going to book him against. So, again, singles matches, because I think they're nice and easy to book in my head. So I think, in my head, he is going to go on a winning streak. Now, we disagreed with that in this week's pod, where you guys think that Brock's probably going to go over. I think Cena might just win it out. But if he wins out, he needs to come back, and he needs to put someone over. This man has already had a WrestleMania moment. And I think his name is going to be said and he's going to appear. And I think you're going to get an utterly nonsense Joe Henry and John Cena match because, again, you gave me the free will to write what the hell I wanted.
His time was up when he mentioned Joe Henry. No, like Ross, it's not a surprise because you mentioned it. You mentioned it when we spoke about fantasy booking John Cena's last match. And I could have got behind you just for the patter at a Saturday night's main event. If that's John Cena's last match at WrestleMania, I will stop watching the product. I'm not saying it won't be fun, right? Because it will be, but
a bit of nonsense.
But my God, that man deserves so much better, right? Ross, Saunders, right? Where is Seth Rollins? Where are Braun and Braun? And where the fuck is Dom Mysterio?
Right. So the match that I had potentially in place of the IC ladder match, I'll get to first. Just mention that I have, as part of the conversation we just had, that's going to be, it was on Wednesday's pod. I've got champions Finn and AJ Styles defending against the Lucha Bros in some sort of tag match. The reason I bumped that is because I do think there's maybe a Bullet Club angle coming as part of AJ's retirement. But the reason I popped that off is that I actually think it'd be a crime to split Rey Fenix and Andrade up. But I think if they go to Raw, eventually the Lucha Bros need to be together because I'm severely worried about Penta. So I'll try to save Penta as much as I can. I think Dom Mysterio needs a huge non-title, high-level feud and match for May next year to show the match that launches him to the world title picture. Because it's easy, quote-unquote easy, when you're the IC champion and you're popular. Part of me had this as a possible Dom versus El Grande Americano match, potentially. Part of me has it as eventually having the Dom versus Rey match that sends Rey off into retirement and pushes Dom on. So it's not that he won't win the card, he'll be on the card, he'll be in a high-level spot in the card. I just don't think it'll be for the IC title. I think he drops the title to Finn, moves on. Maybe something happens at the Rumble. Maybe it's Rey and Dom in the Rumble and it leads to it. I just think that's where Dom Mysterio's match is. And a lot of it is in anticipation of, I think he needs to be world champion sooner than later. I think he's getting to that level. And I think it's one of the matches where Dom Mysterio now needs to have good wrestling matches as much as possible to show that he can have good wrestling matches every week. That's where I see him. So he's on my card. It's just not on my title picture card because I think he's somewhere else. I did actually have him in the world title match at some point, but I think he'll get lost in that. I think I want to see him having a one-on-one match at WrestleMania with somebody. And I see you nodding, so I really don't totally disagree with that. It's just...
No, I don't. I don't.
And then,
I just think it's a crime that he's not been mentioned. Because I do think that I'm sad that you've got a multi-man match for your world title and he wasn't part of it. That does disappoint me a little bit, especially that you've got LA Fraud in there.
I agree with you. I could have him in that match as well. I just think he did the multi-man match.
I'd rather he was in a singles match with Rey Mysterio than not win.
I think it's Rey's retirement. The other bit I need to get to, and this is where I think Ross has let me down. No offence, Ross, but I do think we have to have a Roman versus Seth end of the blood feud match. I think Roman ran through Bronson. He's going to run through Braun Breaker. And I do think that May next year it's going to need to be a 3 stages of hell or a Hell in a Cell or a proper give them the last hour of night 1 or night 2 and have them tear the fucking house down. That's where I think the feud has to go. My worry is that if it doesn't happen this year, it's never going to happen. That's why I have to have... And if I was booking the whole card myself, that's one of my main events. I think that Roman is less than 30 months, or 2.5 years away from being a movie star that occasionally wrestles.
Yeah, he's very close to Rock.
He's getting there, and I think that's fine for him because he's going to make more money and be injured less and be with his family more. But which means that all it takes is one injury and they miss a Mania season between them, and that's why I'm bit. So that's the only reason that they're not in the match. I think that Seth Rollins has to drop the title to CM Punk. I don't want it to happen in Mania. I think that's too far away. Because I think if that match is happening at Mania, I have Punk win the Rumble rather than Sami. Mm-hmm. So it's just whatever happens in the next 2 months, we'll flip that whole card. But I want Roman versus Rollins, and it doesn't need the title.
I had one alternative match on my card, and it was for the WWE title, and it didn't involve Reigns and McIntyre. It was a one-on-one between Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, and unfortunately, you all know my thoughts on Sami Zayn, but I do have a way to make him world champion. Cody versus Sami in a 60-minute Iron Man match is the only way for me that Sami can become world champion, as if he outlasts Cody Rhodes. Because I don't think he's believable to beat him in a 25-30-minute match, but I think he has the stamina. I think he's built like that type of wrestler to outlast Cody Rhodes. So that was my alternative, but then I realised I didn't have Drew or Roman on the card, and I wasn't settling for a non-title match between those two because I firmly believe that Roman Reigns' next world title is his last.
I do agree. The thing with Drew versus Roman is that can be a singles match at WrestleMania, but it has to start with the Drew story that nearly happened a year ago where he starts picking off the people who turned to Roman's side. And if that doesn't happen, then I don't see the path to that singles match. I think this is really interesting because I think you and I have been sitting here playing head booker and Ross has been sitting playing Smackdown versus Raw, which is brilliant. It's the best way to do it.
Ross is booking singles matches and having NXT superstars do run-ins. I love it. Ross, I'm so here for it. Let's just book 2 of the biggest names in the business. See if you guy for NXT, just fucking get them in there.
You know what I think is really interesting? Next Saturday night is so important to the WrestleMania card.
Which is crazy considering we are 7 months out.
Because especially the announcement today from Triple H that Rhodes will be at WrestlePalooza, he will be back, which is an interesting one because we all know he's filming, but they did write him off television with injury, so it suggests, we know he'll be cleared in time. Because the other match that could help on that WrestleMania planning is a Cody versus Orton finally going one-on-one.
That's why I left Orton out of the main event, because he's not on my card at all. And that the reason I left him out of the main event is because I think Cody Orton will happen probably Royal Rumble, maybe. Possibly Survivor Series. I think it will happen before Mania, that feud.
Aye, it'll be an interesting one. And that obviously leaves us a nice segue. So for anyone that's joined us this weekend, Tuesday night, we will be recording our squash, but we will also be recording a prediction show, which will go live on Wednesday for WrestlePalooza. Obviously, card subject to change. It changed at Clash in Paris. Hopefully, we've got some clear pictures for the Women's World Title picture on Raw. So next week, we'll be back to our regular scheduled squash where two of us go head-to-head, but I hope you enjoyed this episode where we fantasy about Mania next year. No doubt we'll react to this in a few months' time and we'll see how far off we were, or maybe we're closer than we think. Take it easy, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.